that scarcity mindset will stop people from making money more often than not, because it's always a competition. It's always something to be burned down. And don't get me wrong, I love competition, but at the same time, there is so much of this fear or scarcity mindset, I think, not only in medical providers, but in entrepreneurs in general. Well, nobody's going to come and see me. Well, they come and see you now. They could change doctors. They could go to someplace else. So I think a lot of that fear and scarcity mindset is it keeps people where they're at. It keeps people from growing and improving themselves. And that's a problem.
Welcome to MyMD Unscripted, where healthcare gets personal and the script gets tossed. I'm Dr. Clint Carter, ER doctor turned direct primary care freedom fighter, on a mission to challenge how our healthcare system treats patients in America. In every episode, my expert guests and I dive into real conversations about what's broken and how we can fix it by making healthcare about people, not just managing disease. It's time to rethink what healthcare should be and how we can make it better together. Welcome to the podcast. Hello and welcome to the MyMD Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Clint Carter, and thanks for joining us. Today we have probably my favorite guest to date, except I did interview my wife once. I think she's going to demand to be number one. However, Dr. Alex Spinoso is a mentor and a friend of mine, and we're going to have a blast today. So buckle your seatbelt. The question that I'm going to start with is, for a man that was once a prison doc to go to building an 8-figure empire in the medical wellness and aesthetics, industry, what was the moment that flipped that switch for you? So Alex, give us a little introduction. Tell us about yourself and how we got to this spot.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Alex Spinoso. Very nice to meet everybody, and thanks for having me on the show, Clint. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
Second to your wife, I think that is a pretty good medal. I feel like I got to get a trophy that says second to Clint's wife for this podcast. But no, I trained in Southern California. I did my residency there, and I wanted to do sports medicine. And I realized in that process that I could do sports medicine without having to go through a year of fellowship. And that's how I ended up in prison. So I applied and started working for the California Department of Corrections. I was on the bad boy yard, general pop yard, they call it, general population. These were the guys who are the murderers, the arsonists, the killers, all those guys. And let me tell you, it was one of the best jobs I ever had in my life. If you gave respect, you got respect. There was roughly 2,000 guys on the yard at any time that you were taking care of, and it was all sports medicine. If you think about it, these guys were all day long. They were exercising and eating. So if they weren't eating in the chow hall, they were exercising outside in the yard. So they were playing sports against each other. They were fighting each other.
Yep.
They were, stabbing. There's not a lot of sports that require stabbing, but they were stabbing each other. So it was a lot of sports medicine and trauma all day long. Joints, pain here, pain there, stabbing each other, or trauma. So I loved it. And I thought, what? This is going to be my job forever. I'm going to work for the government for 20 years. I'm going to get a 20-year pension. When I retire, I'll be 40 years old, 46 years old, and then I'll go get another government job. And in 20 years, I'll retire and have a double pension by the time I'm 66. I mean, it's going to be the best ever. This plan is awesome. And so I got about 2.5 years into a government job. And man, let me tell you, it got to the point where I just wanted to put a bullet in my head. 40 hours a week was really like 8 hours a week of work. If I worked faster than that, saw more than 12 patients in a day, they would say, you're going too fast. You're making everybody else look bad. Slow down. It was forced me to slow down. So
that's awful.
The extra time I had in my hands, I would literally just learn and read about a whole bunch of different things. So I ended up listening to a podcast, a business and personal development podcast that turned into me wanting to build my own business, that turned into later on joining a mastermind and ending up across the country paying half of my savings at the time to join this cool mastermind group. And that's where I ended up meeting my now business partner in Genesis Lifestyle Medicine, Brent Messer. We ended up talking with each other. I was, just an MD, worked in the urgent cares, worked in the prison. And I was like, look, I need to figure out how to build a business, how to grow, how to improve my life. So this mastermind was that. It was teaching all of us how to build a business. So before that, I was listening to a podcast called the MFCEO Project. It was by Andy Frisella. He owns a multi-billion-dollar supplement company. Is like, I'm going to launch this mastermind and I'm going to teach you guys how to build businesses. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it. I applied. I got in. It was $50,000 a year. And I sat my wife down and I was like, look, I don't know what's telling me to do this, but I got to do it. And she said, yes. I mean, I dropped the $50K down. I got in there and I focused on just leaving that group with something. I was focused on building a business. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to be, but I was like, I am going to build this business. So that ended that first year with a medical scrub business, a somewhat skeletonized telehealth peptide business, and then Genesis, which back then was actually called CellSpark because we launched it as a stem cell company. So we ended up, my wife and I, selling our house, moving from Palm Springs, quitting my jobs to Las Vegas, opened up in a little chiropractic office in Las Vegas. We rented out 2 rooms and we started CellSpark. We were doing regenerative medicine, stem cell therapies. And then after about 6 months into that, we said, you know what, this is the long-term thing. We started to add the weight loss, the hormone therapy, and aesthetics at that time, which graduated into adding sexual health as a pillar. And since then, it's just kind of been scale. Every single dollar that we've gotten, we shoved back into the business over and over and over for really the first 3 years of business. We didn't take any money for ourselves other than to pay for food, mortgages, and if we had a car note at the time, cars. That's it. Everything else, my business partner and I got after the month was shoved right back into the business. After 3.5 years, we just kept growing and kept rolling and, acquiring clinics here and there. And now Genesis has grown to a little over 40 locations now. I think we're 45, 46 locations. And we're going into what we call Genesis 2.0 this year. So very exciting.
Yeah, I was excited to hear, I'm a part of your mastermind, Charismatics, for medical practices that want to grow and scale because, I know how to run my practice kind of, thanks to the grace of God and some mentors of mine, but I don't know how to do what you've done. So it's been super fun. And then you brought up that, you guys are trying to go to the next level and go 2.0 and get the kind of leaders that can take you there. And so that's super inspiring because I'm trying to get 1.0.
Hey, you're doing a great job of it.
Yeah, it's been fun. But along the way, one of your, pillars in your mentoring is that mindset is everything and that entrepreneurship is brutal. So how has your mindset evolved through this process?
Yeah. So when I first started, all of us as physicians and as medical providers in general, we always think of the what if. And I think we're programmed that way. And the reason why we program that way, because if we don't think of the what if, usually in our training, someone ends up hurt or dead. As a business owner, it really is a detriment to you because you start to think of all the what if in terms of the negative things that could possibly happen. What if this fails? What if that doesn't work? What if this person does this or that? And it creates in you this hesitancy of analysis paralysis. Because I'm trying to solve for all the problems before they happen, I just end up not fucking doing anything, which is a huge problem because we're all highly intelligent people and there's people, quite honestly, way dumber than us making way more money than us. Because quite honestly, they just go. Yep. They just go and they don't think of all the bad things that could possibly happen to them. They're just blissfully ignorant. And as a result of that, they get much further than a lot of us as medical providers do. So my mindset really had to change and still using the words what if, but what if I didn't do this? And for a lot of us, like you included, what if I didn't do this? Well, I'll just stay in my job. I'll just stay making the same amount of money. And then when you think about, again, what is the worst that could possibly happen? For us, it's usually, well, the business fails and I go back to the job I had before and I end up at square one, which isn't bad. Some people, the what if is I end up homeless or without a job or I don't have any money or food on the table. For us, for medical, and that's why I like to tell medical entrepreneurs or people in the medical field that are betting on themselves, the worst that can happen is you go back to the job that you were in now. And people are like, well, they won't hire me back. Yeah, they will.
Yeah, they will.
Trust me. If you leave on good terms and it's not a double middle fingers in the air on the way out, which sometimes you want to do that in the medical field, they'll take you back if you fail. So you got to remember, well, what's the what if? What's the worst that can happen? Well, I just walk back and get my job back. So that was a mindset shift that I had to have where it's no longer what if it fails. It's like, okay, well, if it fails, just go back to what I was doing before. And it's not a big deal whatsoever.
For me, when I left, it was, worst case scenario, it doesn't work, but I already don't want to do what I'm doing so badly that I got nothing to lose.
Yeah. It's like, this job really sucks where I am. So how can it get any worse than this?
Correct. The difference is I won't have any money and then I'll just go make some more. Like, no, thank you. My deal was I was going to go build tree houses or do something non-medical.
I remember you talking about that.
Have a blast, dude. That dude on TV looks like he's having fun. So that was what I was going to do. And then, God's grace came in and saved the day. But so along the way, you're taking risks, you're growing this thing, it's getting pretty big. You've got some vertical integrated companies that you're doing as well. What do you do to stay grounded? What do you do to kind of bring you back to earth and family?
Man, well, you just said it, family. Like, I've got triplets, they're 3.5. I've got a young little girl. So I have 2 boy triplets and 1 girl. And then I've got a little girl who is a little over a year old and she started walking around now.
Oh, gosh.
So I'm blessed at this point to be able to work from home, to be able to be around them. So if I need a pick me up or I have a bad meeting or anything like that, I just simply walk out there, hug my kids, enjoy 5 minutes with them, and then get back to them. That centers it. But I think at the same time, working out has always been something that really helps center me. It's not a hobby for me. It sucks. I hate it. It's terrible. Like, who goes and lifts heavy stuff and like runs and crap like that for fun? Psychotic psychopaths.
I don't get it.
No, it's horrible. The minute that you could not have to do that and look the same as we do, that's why like GLP-1s are all get the raise, and I can't wait for that. That there was a muscle drug that's now coming out very soon that I'm excited about, where you don't have to exercise but increase your muscle mass. Oh, dude, I'll just sit on the couch and just be popping pills all day long. I do not care about side effects when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's what keeps me grounded is being able to do that while at the same time realizing that, look, what we're doing every day, even if you're an entrepreneur, what you're doing every day matters. Like, you may not think it matters, but look, you're a part of something bigger than yourselves, whether you are an Amazon box packer or whether you're running a medical company. Like, you're a part of something bigger than yourselves. So realizing and giving yourself some credit on that and saying, okay, like, look, it's not all bad. It's not the worst that could possibly happen. So focusing on that, I think is really important.
Well, so, I love that. I think giving my employees a bigger purpose than just a paycheck has been one of the more deeply satisfying parts of this whole journey. And part of it, as we grow and as we scale and as we look to, most, I do direct primary care. So most guys in my field, they get out, they finally get the guts to quit their job because they're so miserable, and they start a direct primary care practice, and by the grace of God, they get enough patients to survive. So then they just get a waiting list and lock it down and get rid of the people they don't like, let in the people they do, and raise the prices till it's about right. But we've been called to spread the gospel of this, of people, of more providers and more staff and more patients getting to experience medicine this way. And so that's been really fun. But in order to do that, you can't be stuck in fear and scarcity, right? Like, we are creating something. Tell me about how that mindset works for you.
Look, there are so many people, especially in our field, the medical field, and there's so much cutthroat competition where people are like, in order for you to win, I have to lose. And that's not the case. And I always like comparing it to the big boys out there, because everybody knows Fort Hims. Let's just talk about them as a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
They're doing 2 million prescriptions a month, 2 million prescriptions a month. And obviously, they don't have 100% of the people on Earth or in the United States under their care. There's still 50,000 med spas out there, all different types of med spas. So when you think like, oh, you know what? In order for this person to win, I have to lose, or I got to beat that person and vice versa. That scarcity mindset will stop people from making money more often than not, because it's always a competition. It's always something to be burned down. And don't get me wrong, I love competition. Like if we're going to get into it, I'm going to make sure that I do everything I possibly can to stomp, your throat if we're competing.
Yep.
But at the same time, there is so much of this fear or scarcity mindset, I think, not only in medical providers, but in entrepreneurs in general. Well, nobody's going to come and see me. Well, they come and see you now. They could change doctors. They could go to someplace else. So I think a lot of that fear and scarcity mindset is it keeps people where they're at. It keeps people from growing and improving themselves. And that's a problem.
I think it's human nature to some extent, evolutionarily speaking, if you believe in that kind of stuff, is, those are the people that were able to look ahead and see where some of the problems were, and to win, they ate more and died less. So I'm sure it's in our DNA. It's how we were created. But when you realize that God owns all the cattle on the hills anyway, and that, we're creating more every day. This podcast didn't exist until just now. There's always something else that we're making and creating, and it's just it's so freeing to be freed from scarcity, to be able to create is so fun. And at the same time, it's not just how it feels, right? Like we had a great talk yesterday about operating on facts, not feelings. Because, in the medical field, we're about taking care of people, and it's all feel good. And to the extent that when a medical provider wants to go out and start a practice, how can I do what I want to do and only make a little bit so that I don't feel guilty that I made a lot? Because I'm supposed to be, like, we've been trained to not make money. We've just been brainwashed. And so then you get in here and you start scaling. You want to build a practice and build it big and or scale it and actually be successful. Like, I'm going to title this something to the effect of how to make more money as a medical provider. And then in parentheses, if that's even okay to ask, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that okay? So tell me about operating in facts, not feelings, and what that means to someone who wants to actually have a successful business.
Yeah. When it comes to business, this is such a good lesson. And you might think you're absolutely killing it in business, but when you really look at the numbers and you bring it down to the numbers, you realize you're not at all. And so an example for us that we had at Genesis is that we had these laser hair removal machines that we thought were absolutely killing the game. I mean, we were full from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., open on days off, bringing all these different types of people in. It was great. And then what we did was get a chief financial officer part-time to look at every single one of our services and see if those services were actually making money or not. And what happened was we found out that every single laser hair removal machine, we were losing about $14,000 a year having that machine. And it was like, holy shit, no way. And we had 12 machines at the time. So we're losing like $170K across the entire platform just having this single service. And again, we thought feelings-wise, we were killing it. We thought it was full all day long. There's no way we're losing money on it. It's impossible. But there were so many other factors that went into that we ended up at the bottom line losing money because we were actually offering this service. And we would have never known until we looked at the numbers, looked at the facts. And once we did that and we eliminated that service, hey, income bounced back up.
That is mind-blowing, by the way. I've actually heard that example one time before, and I still don't get it. I'm like, then why do hair removal machines exist? I'm confused.
I think it's just the service and master of, jack of all trades, master of one, or jack of all trades, master of none, but better than being a master of one sort of thing.
Yeah.
We at Genesis thought, let's have 30 different services. Let's make sure we cater to everything. And I think that's one of those young and entrepreneurship things you do, is that this client wants this. Okay, we'll get that. This client wants this. Okay, get that. Let's get this and this and this and this and this. And then at the end of the day, you got 30 services, you got 30 different types of marketing, you got 30 different types of sales language, you got 30 different types of cross sells and verticals, et cetera, that you have to do. And as a result of that, you end up diluting your brand. You dilute your marketing ad spend because you can't spend as much. You dilute your training and your ability to scale. And we were moving so fast that we essentially diluted our own sales training. Like, we couldn't really teach a salesperson how to sell 30 things really well.
Yeah.
We just couldn't.
Hell.
So it wasn't so much that laser hair removal was a crappy service, because there's plenty of companies out there, Laser Away, Milan Laser, that are making great money but that's one of their main pillars, laser hair removal.
Yeah.
For us, it was just like an extra add-on that we had with all these other services.
Yeah, right.
So that's really what it was. And I guess the lesson is twofold, operate off facts, not feelings. But at the same time, if you're going to roll something out in your business, make sure you have the proper marketing, the proper sales language, the proper scripts for the girls over the phone to book them, the proper follow-up, and make sure it's not just rolled out and saying, hey, sell this. Or you buy this machine, you roll it in and you say, hey, we got this new machine. It's really nice and shiny and beautiful. Sell it. Really doesn't work like that. And again, I thought it used to.
Well, and it's how they all work together, right? So does what you want to buy or want to add, is it going to cannibalize something else you already have? Is it going to be a natural, next step for a client who needs that? And that brings me kind of to, your spiderweb approach and stacking services and that kind of thing, which I guess you kind of already alluded to. How does that work for you guys, both sort of within your business, and then, you also have some vertically integrated businesses that work alongside?
Yeah, I think you literally hit the nail on the head with what you were saying, is that your services, they need to be able to stack on top of each other. So that spiderweb diagram is, if you have, let's say, weight loss as one of your pillars and you're just doing GLP-1s, what can you add to those weight loss clients that could bring you more revenue? Is it supplements? Is it another weight loss drug that you could stack on it? Is it exercise programs or a gym that you're associated with? You could sell them gym memberships to. Food. Is there a certain food that you can order for them or get them associated with? Those are all things that are, again, in a vertical. And like you said, when it comes to services, make sure you're not cannibalizing it. Like, if you have a machine for fat and weight loss, don't buy a second machine for fat and weight loss. That just means you have two machines that do the same thing. You don't get twice as many clients doing that. You get the same amount of clients, but now you got two machines that you got to pay for. And so that was one of the things that we really pared down. Again, jack of all trades, master of none. We took our 30 services and we said, let's cut them down to these 4 pillars.
Yeah.
Weight loss, hormones, sexual health, and aesthetics. And if it doesn't fit in one of those pillars, then it's not something that we do. And along with that, each of those pillars that we have, they're cross-sold to each other. So if you have weight loss and you come in for weight loss, we're checking your hormones to make sure that you shouldn't be on hormone therapy as well. And if you have weight issues and hormone issues, I guarantee you got sexual health issues. You just maybe don't want to talk about it up front, but they're there for sure. And on the opposite end, so our aesthetics is actually tied into our weight loss treatments. So when we think about skin laxity or when we think about those types of things, that's where our machinery comes in. So we're doing pulse wave and shockwave therapy for sexual health. And then we're doing like Morpheus 8 and M-Sculpt Neo or Cool Sculpting for our weight loss clientele. So again, you're using a machine across multiple different pillars, which makes it more affordable for you and more successful in the end, where you're making sure that, hey, this one service that I'm adding is going to be able to be utilized by multiple different types of clientele.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. And then you have more clientele talking about the same machines in your community, basically giving you references just because of the way they were treated. So which kind of brings us to marketing, because word of mouth and referrals is probably the best marketing that you can have. I guess, in your opinion, what makes a service scalable versus a headache? I know, you kind of part of the answer may be its stackability and its multifunctional, but anything else come to mind on because, as I scale, what to focus on and what to kick out?
I think the things that you can scale are the things that pass what's called the monkey test. I like the monkey test in Genesis. So if I could take an NP off the street and literally train them how to do that service within a few days to a few weeks, the same speed at which I could train a monkey to do it, that's a great monkey test. And what you realize is that those very high skilled services, the very high end Botox, the very high end off label fillers, the threading, all that stuff, yeah, that's good. And that might build long-term clientele later on, but it's going to take a year and a half, 2 years for your skills to get there and for your staff skills and the people you're training to get there. And then they leave.
Yeah.
You start all over again. So the services that we like to add are those services that are very simple, as well as services that maybe a client wouldn't be attached to a provider.
Yeah.
So if they're coming in and they're getting weight loss, hormone therapy, sometimes sexual health, to a degree, aesthetic machines, those can be really run by anybody and serviced by anyone. And as a result, the client isn't really attached to a specific provider versus a Botox filler that this one provider in this one state can do, and they are the best in that state, and that's all they do. Yeah, those people are great, but those people are not the best employees, nor are they the best people on your team, nor are they the best people to scale. That's why you see all of these Allergan trainers, Galderma trainers, aesthetics trainers. That's why you see they never have more than one clinic.
Yeah.
They have one clinic with one name or their name on the door, and it's a big clinic, yes, but it's one. Because guess what? They're not a scalable nor a sellable entity.
Right. Yeah, when they're done,
focused on them.
God forbid something happened to them, just close the doors. It's over.
That's literally how it is. Nobody to replace them, nobody to fill in behind them. They are the entire brand.
Which feels good for about 5 minutes. So you realize that you really have nothing of value outside of your name, which, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. So as we're going this way, like for me, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the go, the growth guy. If our ratios don't look good, just bring in more money. Let's just go. Meanwhile, thank goodness I have people in my organization that care about details and actually saving money, which I'm learning to, obviously it's important. It's just not natural for me. I just want to go. How do clinics improve cash flow without compromising care? Because in the end, if you give bad service, what are you doing?
Yeah. So how do you improve cash flow without compromising care? Well, you actually fucking care.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Gary Vee said that when he came and spoke with us at an event in the mastermind. I remember him saying that. Like,
no way.
How do you make more money? Like, you just actually fucking care about people. And it's so true, because when you think about it, if you truly care about somebody, things like, well, I can't afford this, or I'm not sure I could do this. If you truly cared about it, and if it was your friend, you'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you need this. You have to do this. Or if your friend was overweight, every once in a while we'd be like, dude, you need to get to the gym, or you need to take this fat loss medication, or you need to stop fucking stuffing your face with food. We would do that to our friends. So if you really care about somebody, you would do that to them. Now, I'm not saying when they come in, you say, what's wrong with you, fatty? Like, let's get you, what's you're a piece of shit. Let's get you, like you would talk with your friends. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, if you really cared about the people walking in, just like you do your own family or your own friends, you would try and connect with them in the same way. You would say, look, this is going to help you. I know it's going to help you. I've seen it help all these other people. I've seen it help me. So this is what you need, X, Y, and Z, and there's really no other option, because I'm telling you, you need to do it. And you're really caring about them getting the results that they need, not selling some random stuff or anything like that, because that's not the whole point. Caring about the service. And when you care about the service, guess what? They're going to send more referrals into you. And then on top of that, they're going to spend more money with you, because data shows, and I'll point out the data in Genesis. Data in Genesis shows that 62% of our income in Genesis as a corporation comes from people who come into our clinics 3 times or more. And almost 90% comes from people who come into our clinics 5 times or more. So that tells us the people that we really care about, the people that keep coming back, the people that trust us, are the ones that are spending the most money. And that trend is the same at Fort Hims, with their recurring billing being a huge part of their revenue, or LaserAway or Ideal Image in the same way. That's what people don't realize. The more you care, the better.
We got in it to care. So it comes pretty natural, but along the way, it gets beat out of you in the system, because the system doesn't seem to care about patients at all. And so you get burned out. And then when you start your own business, you're like, yeah, but I got to stay in business so it can get lost in the mix. Fortunately, at MyMD, that's not a problem. And my team is unbelievable. And our core values would not tolerate that. But at the same time, it's, how do I care enough to help them get the treatment they need, even if it's kind of expensive, or even if it's, a little inconvenient, just to get them to there. And then I guess next for me is what inspired you to care enough to start Charismetics to help a bunch of little guys like me get going and try to be able to spread the gospel of care.
You guys say little guys, and you're running a multi-million-dollar corporation. Okay, let's be real here. Let's be real though, for everybody listening. This guy's killing it. So, but no, going through that mastermind that I went through, and it changed my life, and it changed my direction, and it helped me grow and improve my life, everything. None of that was medical at all. So there was maybe 2 of us out of 55 that were in the medical field in general, but it wasn't medical. And although everything that they taught me and everything that they teach you in business is relevant no matter what business, whether you're running a pool noodle selling company or a medical company, all the good parts of running a business are still the good parts of running a business, no matter where you are. So I had that. There are intricacies when it comes to licensing, when it comes to different types of services, when it comes to all those things that I had to figure out myself with my business partner. And we had to figure it out. And we call it the dumb tax. And we have paid literally to learn what not to do, services not to deliver, things not to decide, that over and over and over. And that dumb tax has gotten bigger. The dumb tax went from, a few $1,000s to $10,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars to, over the last 12 months, my business partner and I have probably lost a good, I would say, $1 to $2 million, definitely over $1 million, maybe 2, in paying dumb tax. And that's just learning process. That's just throwing it out there, making sure that we're testing things, testing the waters, and then on the backside, making sure that, hey, once we learn that lesson, we're not doing that shit again. And this is why. And so my mentor took, I think it was about 14 years before he started really making millions of dollars in his company. And so it took me roughly, 2.5, 3 years to start making millions of dollars in my company. And so if I could do that to somebody else and they can do it in 12 months, great. That's the whole purpose of Charismetics, to help other people level up faster and level up together. Because I never had that. And again, because you win, and you're in Tyler, Texas. I've got 6 locations in Texas. Because your company is killing it in Texas does not take away from my company's killing it in Texas. It doesn't at all. There's plenty of people in Texas.
Yep. I was going to bring that up. Yeah. We're not scarcity, but abundance.
And so it helps, it just benefits us to learn from each other and learn the best processes and procedures. And again, I don't have it all figured out. Neither do you, neither does anybody else. If we could take the best of each one of our services or each one of our treatments or each one of our systems and processes and teach each other it, you know how much better we will be?
Yeah.
We'll definitely all make more money. We'll all have more clientele. And again, we can't possibly see all of the clients in the world. The obesity rate in the US for the first time, I think actually for the first time ever, it's down 1%. Okay,
Ooh.
it's still like 47%.
Yeah.
It's still 1 out of 2 people are obese and more than 60% overweight.
I was going to say, and everybody else wants to lose weight. So
yeah, and so it's still, there's still plenty of people if you're doing weight loss. There's still plenty of old people if you're doing primary care, if you're doing geriatric care. There's still plenty of patients everywhere.
It's, and gosh, man, we've got, dozens of practices in there that come regularly and others that are listed that we're all a little different anyway. And we still have a chance to benefit each other. And sometimes it's the differences that make the input that much more fun. Okay, let's wrap this thing up, man. Your time is precious. I really
Let's do it. I love it.
Fun. What's one thing that a provider could do this week to begin making more money in their clinic this week?
Ask for the referral.
Yes.
So many providers are worried about asking people to send their friends to you. And don't just ask. I would say, hey, can you write down 3 names and maybe their telephone numbers or emails that might benefit from this same service that you're doing right now? And this goes back to when I used to sell rainbow vacuums door to door. Every single house we walked into, we were trained to get this sheet. It had 10 names or 10 lines on it. And if you could get them to fill out 10 names and phone numbers, then you could give them this free little air purifier, water spinny thing that was cool. And you can add some eucalyptus to it, made the room smell good and clean the air. And so that was the pitch, to get 10 names and phone numbers, which was 10 leads. And all you had to do, again, was sell 1 or 2 off of those, go into their house, and you got another 10 to 20 names off the bat. And so the referral system, again, is where you're going to make the most money and have the least amount of cost of marketing, because you don't have to pay them. Your friend bought it down the street and they recommended you. So obviously, if you're like your friend and you want to keep up with the Joneses, you need this as well. But ask for the referral. If you're providing a great customer service, if people love going to you and they're getting results, they're going to have 0 issues giving you names and phone numbers and leaving you a 5-star review. So I'll give you 2. That first one, ask the referral. Number 2, ask every person who comes in for a 5-star review. Google, Yelp, Facebook, whatever, ask for the review, get the reviews. Those 2 things will make you more money this week.
Absolutely. That's perfect, because you're going to get quick turnaround on that. And if they're not willing to refer their friends and family to you, then you probably aren't doing something right anyway. Right? Because I'm proud. I would be shocked if they were like, no, this isn't really good enough for me. I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Well, let's have that conversation.
Well, that's good. It opens that conversation up to like, okay, well, where did we screw up then?
Yeah. Well, then, whoa, back up. You don't get to leave. You're coming back to the office. Let's talk.
Exactly. Great point.
Okay, man, you've got a ton going on, right? So you've got your own podcast. You just wrote a book. We've got the mastermind. So tell us about how we can find you in all these different places and get a hold of you if we need you.
So on all my socials, it's just Dr. Alex Spinoso at Instagram, at Twitter, at Facebook, just Dr. Alex Spinoso. You can find me on any of those. When it comes to my book, you can find it on Amazon. Just Google my name, Alex Spinoso. It's a book about anxiety, which I put myself into the hospital 4 times from anxiety and thinking that I'm having a heart attack. So probably not the best to write a book about it, but you know what? It's some tips and tricks of how to keep yourself out of the hospital from doing it. you can find me at dralexspinoso.com. And that's also where I have access to my mastermind that Clint, you're in. And we love having you in it. It's called Charismetics. So charisma, CHARISM. And then it changes to med. So EDX. So charismetics.com or joincharismetics.com. That's where you can find us on the mastermind side. So we're all over. My podcast is just called the Spinoso Podcast. And I'm going to have obviously Clint on as well. We record in person though. So I'm going to drag your butt all the way to Texas to hang out with me for a day. So,
dude, man, thank you so much. And of course, someone with anxiety is the person to write a book about anxiety. Who else? Right?
Right.
When I went through depression and burnout and low T and thyroid problems, it made me such a better doctor. Oh my gosh. My gosh. Yeah.
Absolutely. You are your own walking billboard going through all that stuff.
Like, I kind of know what that feels like, instant connection. So thank you very much for all of this, man. Thanks for your time. I can't wait to bombard you at your studio with somewhere, someone nice, when I'm big and cool like you. I'll have one of my own. But thanks a lot, dude. Have a blast and have a great day, man.
Appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thanks for joining me today on MyMD Unscripted. I hope today's conversation opened your mind and inspired you to imagine a better path for your health and therefore life. If you found value in this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone passionate about transforming healthcare. Real change starts with real conversations, so let's keep them going. Until next time, stay well, stay curious, and never stop pushing for better.